But joining me on the phone right now, as we always do, our special guest, Ardy Arani's Insiders Report. This guy has done business in the world of racing for many, many years, and that's why we have him on as the insider. Ardy Arani, welcome to Race Day on Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Just keep it busy. Obviously, running solo today. Doing a great job. Thank you to all the fans who called in and helped out. It's definitely been a blessing.
Well, we've always said you can talk enough for three people. So
yeah, that's right.
Fine.
I feel like a Michael Waltrip up here. I should just get a bunch of sponsors.
Oh, don't go there. Let's not go there.
All right, maybe not Michael Waltrip. But we've seen some great racing. I know we talked to some F1 earlier with the whole Sebastian Vettel-Weber thing, but Red Bull came out and said, hey, everything's cool. We actually want to keep Weber around for 2011. We want to get Sebastian Vettel signed on for a while because he's our future. What do you think's going on behind the scenes there? Everything cool?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they had a love fest. They all sat down and said, look, we're doing what Braun did last year. We have a dominant car. We're piling on points. But when you analyze the situation, I think it's a classic case. First of all, F1, unlike pretty much every form of racing that we have over here, they don't have any spotters. So the driver really is on his own. And if you've ever gotten inside of a modern F1 car, and I doubt many people listening have, but just take a good look next time you watch the race. And the driver doesn't really have a whole lot of peripheral vision. By the time he's screwed into that cockpit, the way those mirrors hang out there, and with some of these teams, these mirrors are aerodynamic devices, and they're designed in a way to manage airflow, not necessarily show you what's going on back there. And, you got to feel for both of them. I am not sure Weber had a real clear view of what was happening until it was too late, and it's not like anyone was telling him. And Vettel, you just got to say, it's a classic case of youth and exuberance, overcoming sound judgment. I mean, a more seasoned guy would have sat there and said, okay, let me pick my spot carefully if I'm faster than this guy, but I'm fighting for a championship too. I've got to come out of this race with second-place points, and that thought process never went through his head. He thought he saw an opening. He stuck the car in there as if he was battling wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso on the last lap of the race, and that is you have to say, a mistake chalked up to inexperience. As smart as Vettel is, I think that one will go in his little memory bank, and I don't think he'll make the mistake again.
No, I agree with you. You learn from your mistakes, especially as a young driver, and this kid is very young, coming in the series, a future star, no doubt, hands down, and that's why Red Bull wants to keep their hands on him and keep him at that camp, is because that is going to be their future, obviously.
Rob, and wouldn't it be something if this championship at the end of the year we come down to whoever it may be, Hamilton and Alonso, a Button, any one of those guys winning the title by, let's say, less than 8 or 10 points over the Red Bull duo, they'll look back on this race and say, oh my gosh, we really did throw it away.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We're talking to Ardy Arani, Ardy Arani's Insiders Report. Let me ask you this. Bruno Senna at HRT, rumored to be leaving, replaced by, I think it's Yamamoto, who brings money to the table, obviously.
Bingo. Yeah, that's exactly all you need to say.
And we've seen it. This isn't the first time it's happened. It just seems to happen more nowadays because money is so important to these guys with the economy the way it is, the way these guys know that money makes you go faster. If you got money, it talks.
Well, not only does money make you go faster, it also makes you feel better about being really slow.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
But here's the deal in F1. People look at it and assume it's all glitz and glamour and yachts and money and so forth. And at the top half of the grid, probably so. You would be shocked to find out at the back half of an F1 grid that there are drivers there racing, I would say, for less money than a guy makes running in the top 10 in the Camping World Truck Series. And I'm not kidding. There's guys there racing in F1 who are not drawing a salary, who are trying to scrape together expense money from their sponsor. So, yeah, at the back end of the grid, these teams do struggle. It's a very, very expensive undertaking. And if you have no hope of winning or even placing well, and you know, without insulting anybody, let's just say there's 6 or 8 teams that fit that description, and all of a sudden a driver comes along with a couple of million or millions of dollars in personal sponsorship, the team owner is going to say to himself, well, let's see.
Welcome to the team.
I can run 14th with this guy, and I can run 14th with this guy who brings $10 million.
Yeah.
Let me think which guy I want to run 14th with.
Yeah.
Or 16th or 20th, or wherever they are.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll take a couple and move back a little bit, but we got $10 million in our bank, so that's nice. We're talking to Ardy Arani, Ardy Arani's Insiders Report. Let me ask you this: with tensions growing between North and South Korea, what do you think about the Korean GP coming up in October? There's been rumors of it could be canceled if the war breaks out as those two countries go at it.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rob, and definitely anything like that happens. These guys are not going to want to put their life, limb, and assets at risk by taking it to a country in the middle of conflict. So certainly that's something we'll be watching. Quite frankly, as we'll talk about in the coming weeks, we have yet to hear any follow-up on the Austin U.S. Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, other than an announcement and a press release. There's still not any concrete indications, shall we say, coming out of the great state of Texas.
There's not even concrete.
Maybe I'll get Eddie Gossage to come on the show, and he can tell us what he thinks.
Oh, but, by the way, I don't know if you watched the truck race last night. I want to bring this up. Eddie Gossage, he's a genius when it comes to promoting and doing, silly promotions and just getting the name out there, getting that promotion, getting Texas Motor Speedway on the map. He did something really cool last night. Yellow comes out, and the back of the fence that actually faces the fans have lighting in them that light up to let you know, and they blink all at the same time. It looks incredible. It's got to look cool in the stands, but it blinks when a yellow comes out. The yellow lights up and down the fence post, which is really cool to see.
It's a neat visual effect. And, speaking of yellows, I did want to touch on briefly here is this Indy 500 green-white checker or yellow
I was going to bring
finish.
that up. Thank you.
Rob, that is a tough one. You think back, let's say even over the last 15 years of this year, for example, certainly would have been a different finish. No way Franchitti wins that race if it goes even another lap under yellow. So, in NASCAR, they've adapted. I mean, they're late race strategies now, and you'll see guys stopping for a splash or when they're calculating, what we talk about when we say fuel window, when they're calculating when they're coming in the pits for that last fill-up. They're usually doing it thinking, this thing could go 2 or 4 or 6 laps more than we're planning, and they try to gauge their fuel window. It would force a rethink strategically at Indy. Camp.
Last time that ending under yellow is not something I want to see, but again, you have to watch the strategy. That is part of open wheel racing.
The last point I'll make on it, Rob, is I think you have to be very cognizant, and I think you're going to agree with me on this point, okay? It's one thing to have 30, 40 stock cars barreling along, and we've seen the mayhem that happens under these green-white checkers. We see it repeatedly, okay? There's always crashes in the pack. I'm not sure I want to create that frantic dash in an open-wheel environment with the 25 or 30 cars that are left running at the end of one of those races, wheel to wheel, everybody with the red mist in their eye thinking that they've got a lap to pass this guy, because when those cars touch, as we saw at the last lap of Indy, not only is it a very frightening situation, but it can take another 5 or 10 laps to clean up. I think the excitement of having that would disappear the minute somebody goes airborne and is laying there on the track, and now we're all holding our breath while they sweep it up, and then we're going to do it again to get a green finish. You don't want to be in I want to go there.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that situation where Conway is up at the fence like he did in that race.
I think that's the problem with open wheel racing. You can't bunch them up and say, okay, boys, have at it for a lap. I think
Well,
you're just asking for trouble.
Can you stick around? Will you come back in the next segment?
For you, I am here for you, Rob.